No, we are not going to change our shirts, Doug.
We gotta
What's
switch
up,
it
guys?
a little bit.
Did you just interrupt the intro, Doug?
Sorry.
Yeah, get that Carhartt logo out of
look.
here.
Get a fresh. Oh, not sponsored. Okay.
No
sorry.
sponsors
Go
here.
ahead. Yeah. No. Except BMX nerds.
You are a nerd.
Sorry. Okay, go.
All right.
Ready.
Oh, shit, I just knocked the light. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome to the RAD podcast, RAD show, RADcast, whatever you want to call it. We call it the RAD podcast, but I like the RADcast too. It's like Relax the Taxi, but different. All right, in this episode, we are going to talk about some of our best and worst skate parks that we've ever been to, and some of this is going to get pretty funny, so make sure you stay tuned because you do not want to miss the worst skate park that I've ever been to. You don't want to miss it.
I hear it's crazy. I have no idea what he's gonna say. We usually just talk on the phone about random stuff for a long time, and so this is kind of just we'll see what happens about this. We'll get into it, and I like to make Nick start. So Nick, we'll start with our best podcast or our best skate parks that we've been to. I don't know. Give me just like a few your favorites and why.
Okay. So a few of my favorites. Okay, Chandler, where we filmed a lot of bike school content. That one is really cool. I don't think I would like it if it was busy. I'm not going to lie. I think that park, because it's always so dead when we've been there, it really gives you the opportunity to ride around the whole park. And to me, if you can't ride the entire park like in one line, then it's really not enjoyable, especially a park like that. There are a lot of parks that really aren't built to ride in one line. Like they kind of seem very sectioned off, but Chandler, you can really ride the whole park and have a continuous line. And if it was busy and you couldn't do that, I don't think it would be that fun.
I was going to ask you if you said Chandler because of how empty it was or because of how good it was. So it's like both.
I think how empty it was, but they've got really good transitions there. The box jump is definitely kind of scary if you're not used to that. Like someone actually just posted, Sky Michael just posted in a dirt jumper group, and he just jumped it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was cool because it's like, yeah, that's a scary box. I mean, it's lip to lip.
You did that video on it too, right?
Yeah, I posted it in the comments. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so like that box is trippy, but it has to be like that so that way you can ride the park in different directions, different lines.
Yeah.
But quarters, all very good. Cool wall rides. Like you can tell it was built as a bike park. Like, so it's not a bunch of hubbas and rails and stairs, because that's my biggest thing is I feel like I go to so many skate parks that like you're like, okay, this part of the skate park is really, really cool, but as someone who doesn't ride street, when all of a sudden there's a quarter pipe, like a bank to bank, and then a freaking street rail or a handrail or something right in the middle, I'm like, well, that's it. That's just in my way, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only rail at Chandler's that sub rail there. That's it. And right? Yeah, that is the only rail. And then
the hitching post one.
The hitching post, that's it.
Yeah, nobody touches that thing.
No.
That's
but it's also so 2007.
Yeah, but it's not in your way,
No.
Like you can still ride the park without getting that, and that big quarter pipe is really sick. The one with that big bowl corner at the other end. Man,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's cool to look at. Yeah, Chandler's crazy. That's definitely one of my favorites too. Such a good park.
Are there any other good ones in that area? Because I think that's the only one. We went to that.
We
went
one
to
that has
Goodyear.
the other big. Goodyear was kind of cool.
That's the one with the capsule.
It's different, Like it's I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but I think because Chandler's technically a bike park, and I think they took that into consideration when they built the transition. I don't know, because I'm sure you've been to parks. Like we have one here in El Paso it's a huge bowl. It's really cool, huge bowl, but the bowl's shaped for carving and pumping and not airing. And so I feel like that's more of a way a skateboarder would approach riding the bowl than a BMX rider. And so like finding a park like Chandler that's built with that in mind, you get a whole different kind of transition and flow to the park. And I think Goodyear, where I'm going at with this is like Goodyear is a cool park. It's really big, but didn't you notice the transition was a little steeper and just a little bit off? Or did it? That feels good to you, huh? That feels terrible to me.
Yeah, I mean, I like those really tall corners. I thought the bowl was good.
Yeah,
it's very steep bowl.
Yeah.
Like for sure. The thing about it though is, which unfortunately is, I mean, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for me when deciding my favorite skate park, Chandler is not a beginner skate park.
No.
It is not a beginner friendly skate park. Like everything is tall and it's could be why it's so empty. Like, yeah, a beginner could go there and ride one of the smaller quarters as a flyout all day.
Yeah.
But otherwise there's not much there for a beginner. Like it's pretty technical, but as like a higher level rider, like I said, the whole park can kind of flow into a line. Whereas you think of something like Goodyear, which this is kind of what I'm saying is a park like Goodyear is how skate parks need to be built because they need to cater to everyone.
Sections.
Yeah, parks are sectioned. You've got your street section with the banks. You've got your bowl section, and then you've got, that like little weird quarter hippie snake run thing. But when it comes to like riding Goodyear, especially like on a mountain bike, I'm not into riding banks and flat ground. And so I want to be able to use the park and keep a run going. And I feel like when you've got those like just different sections, there's no real flow connecting the whole course, which, the whole skate park, which doesn't make it a bad park. Yeah. It just makes it not necessarily what I want. Like the skate park in Santa Clarita is a perfect example. I spent a really long time riding there. I rode it like almost every day when I was going to college because it was like 30 minutes from my college.
Did we go to that one when I was over there? I think we did. It has like
we went to the,
I don't know.
I know we went to like the pump.
Something.
Yeah, we went to like the pump track and stuff, and we went and like the pump track is like up in the dirt behind it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
The BMX track that got us real tired real quick. So that skate park right there is, it's got a lot of cool stuff, but you either go down to the snake run this way, otherwise there's a bunch of like banks and rails that make up like this circle, and they all go to the same spot. So basically you've got like one feature at a time on that course, on that skate park. Otherwise you could like, there's like this big hip that you can hit, but then when you land, then you just ride the sidewalk all the way across the skate park and around. Like there's nothing into that and nothing out of it. It's just a one hit. So when I go there, I just ride the bowl. It's a really, really good bowl. It's got a really good like 10 or 11 foot quarter with like these cool walls. But it would be so cool if that bowl more easily connected to other pieces of the park. But like I said, having it sectioned off makes it much better for the average user.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like Chandler's my top, and then Oklahoma City is one of my favorites, and I've only ridden there a handful of times, but they both have that in common, is that they're just like a bowl that all connects and comes together. There's a street section in Oklahoma City, but that bowl is just like, it's very similar to Chandler. Like there's so many options. You can start wherever and approach it however you want. And that makes it fun. If there's multiple people in there, it's not so fun, just like Chandler. But if I was a beginner rider, it wouldn't be fun, and I guess you've got to get to like a certain level of riding for that to be a perk. When I was a beginner, the skate park that just had a nice flyout section was my favorite skate park, and or just a small bank stuff that was rideable to me. But then I guess as I kind of got better and was able to maneuver spines and things like that, so you can use the whole bowl on things, it changed what was a good skate park to me. So I guess if this question came up 5 years ago, your answers would probably be different too. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, that's something I noticed. They both had that in common.
Yeah, and because I think really what it comes down to, like, my choices for skate parks now would actually be different than they were definitely 10 years ago when I was riding more BMX. Because when I was riding more BMX, I like to jib and goof around a little bit, But now, riding the dirt jumper in the skate parks, I'm just looking for good transition, hips, things that you can jump, hips, quarters to air. And so I like the idea of like a bowl. That's what we'll call it. Kind of more of a bowl style skate park where everything is enclosed and everything leads to something else. Like, whereas, other skate parks, like I said, they're more like broken up. And when I was riding more BMX, I loved that broken up style because you could just work on one thing, then kind of go work on something else. Whereas now I just want to show up and just ride. I want to like do a whole run and be able to like get creative. That's kind of one way that I really get burnt out of a skate park is when there's kind of only one or two lines in the park, it's not that fun to just repeat the same line over and over anymore.
Right.
It used to be because I would work on tricks or I'd work on getting a certain trick on a certain feature. Now it's more like I just want to be able to ride for like 30, 40 seconds at a time. Yeah. And then chill. Another good skate park is Big Chino.
Did we go to that one?
No. Pat used to ride there a lot.
The crazy spine. Yeah, the crazy.
Yeah, with that big.
I know which one. Yeah.
No.
Oh, God.
No, are you talking about the super tall spine?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Harada. That's like only 20 minutes away from Big Chino. That's the really tall, like 12-foot
jammed that, and I'm like,
yeah, that's like a 12-foot tall spine. That park is really fun too. It's actually a really fun park. Not a lot of lines, but actually a fun park. I did my first fence hop there. Hopped out over the skate park, over the fence.
Did Daniel ride Big Chino a lot?
Daniel rode Big Chino a lot and Harada because he lived right there.
Okay.
Big Chino has the big squares.
Like a snake run spine or something weird like that.
Yeah, Big Chino has like a big square spine, quarter, and then on the other side of that big square spine, it's got like a spine that's like sideways, and then they've got a big bowl, and there's like a roller between some of those quarters.
Is that because this has like that bowl build also? That's one of your favorites?
Actually, I don't really ride the big bowl in that. But yeah, the whole park is pretty much built. The street section is like all contained to like one corner.
Yeah, I see that.
And there's like a nice little hip. Like I did my first hip flip right there. Like it's a fun park.
Was it transition similar? Like what are the similarities in all these? What makes them a good park? Transition plays a huge role for me. But how is it? Chino's good or not?
Yeah, perfect transitions.
Perfect. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like Pat Casey in some of his videos. He's doing like flare double whip, and Daniel's doing like flare fives, like cork 900s on these quarters. Like Larry Edgar blasts the shit out of these quarters. Like really good transitions. And I think that's one thing it comes down to me is like I like good coping, and even transitions where you can hit quarters on a lot of different spaces, and they're the same.
Yeah.
But then also, I like when parks have 7 and 8 foot tall quarters because I'm better at riding those. I don't like riding a 4-foot quarter because it's not a quarter pipe to me. That's just a turnaround spot. Like
that's like half the size of your wheel.
Yeah, and so like
your
to
wheel's
me,
half the size.
Good coping, good transitions, and just the ability to keep up speed throughout the park. Like the opportunity to just keep speed and almost like the fact that good bowl style parks, you can ride like a line of dirt jumps.
Yeah, you should
like where
be
you
able
can
to
jump one thing and then you can jump
things.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's a park here at Carolina Park in El Paso, and it's different than the one I was talking about earlier, but it's kind of an encapsulated park. But throughout it, it's like there's like a section with rails that go down that lead into it, or ledges that, so it's kind of like tries to mix it, but and then there's small quarters to the sides that people use as a fly out, and the way that it's fun to ride that park is totally the opposite of the way that everyone's like, there's a group of people up here waiting to drop in for this fly out. There's a group of people seshing this ledge. And it's like, it's just a disaster. When that park's empty, I love it. It's so fun because you can ride it how I imagine it's designed to be ridden. But when it's busy, when there's anybody there, man, you're fighting to get a line, or you just have to join them and session one thing. But like you're saying, that does get boring if you can't just drop in and cruise and ride everything with it. Like a set of dirt jumps, it's dangerous too. It's super dangerous if you got somebody that drops in on you. At a park, I'm looking for bathroom. That makes it a good park. So homie's got a bathroom. That's good.
No hobos.
No hobos. No people trying to fight you. The random girls that hang out. No, I'm just kidding. But no, transition is probably one of the biggest things, and because if I want to ride street, if I want to ride ledges and rails, there's like real spots to do that at, not the skate park. You can't find good quarters out in the streets. And so when you go for me, when I go to the park, it's because that's what I want to ride. If I want to ride something else, go find it elsewhere. And I don't know, I guess some of it's doctored up. It's easier to ride street at parks, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, I still do. But I'm more interested in the quarters and how everything flows together than I am about a street section at a park.
Well,
It doesn't hype me up.
So I think the thing about it too, obviously I said like skate parks need that or people won't go ride.
Yeah.
But some skate parks have incorporated the street section into the park so well that it still can ride like a bull, but then like, instead of there being, like flat bottom, there's like a fun box, in between two different quarter sections, like Belvedere in East LA. You can come in, you can drop in, ride a bull, you can hip out of that bull into like this other quarter roller thing. And it's like a perfect learner spine. It's like 6 feet tall, but it's like rounded, and you can take it as wide as you want to make it a hip. But then right there is then a big roller over here, or then a fun box that's got like a ledge and a rail and stuff. But like you don't have to hit the rail, but it still has like pump, flow up and over the fun box, and then another left hip, and then quarter, and then you can go the other way, and you can like jump up onto this like sub box and then jump down. And it's like, so there's ways to incorporate the street section and still flow.
Right. But what if I'm there trying crooks on the flat rail and you're trying to ride the park? Does that street section still flow with the park, or only if like nobody's using it? You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think you'd try a crook on a fun box style 3 foot tall rail.
Well, I can't crook anyway.
But, yeah. But, cause like there is more of like a street section kind of like around the edges, I would say. But it, because there's still like a forwards and a back, I think it's easier to like take turns cause you kind of can see.
Yeah.
But also I think that's kind of like one good thing about, a lot of the parks like in LA and in California in general is, there's so many parks that people generally flock to the one that's more suited for what they're trying to do. Like you wouldn't, unless you're like a neighborhood kid, you don't really go to Belvedere to ride street because it's not a primarily street park. Whereas like in Santa Clarita, it's the only skate park for 30 minutes in either direction. And
you
so
go there no matter what.
Everyone who rides anything is going to go there. Like, like Chandler. No one's going to go ride Chandler that only wants to ride street or that's like a street skateboarder. They're not going to go there. It'd be a waste of their time. So I think definitely, and I think in a very like concentrated area like California where there are lots of parks, definitely opens up the opportunity to have more different kinds of parks.
Yeah.
Because the distance isn't too far. Whereas I kind of feel like, unfortunately, where you get the really crappy layout parks is where that's like the only park around.
Right. And you just
You
kind of
get
have to deal with
to like
it.
different cities and states where it's like that's all you get. Like Colorado. Colorado has so many, I feel like in the Denver area and Aurora and like in different like that kind of within an hour, there's a lot of good parks. And I think it's because they can build one and then build the other one so different because if it's not your style, you just go to the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point.
Like
I didn't
they're
think
willing
about
to
that.
take more of a like yeah, like they're I feel like the builders are willing to take more of a risk because if there's multiple in a small area, people are just going to go to which one they feel like. Whereas if you're the only skate park for 2 hours, you better have a variety. Otherwise, it's a waste of building.
Yeah. So building Chandler in that Phoenix area is good because, you know, it doesn't have like that traditional park layout that you talked about being important, you know, where you have a low barrier to entry. Like I like to put it like that. Pump tracks are popular because you don't have to have any skills to go to a pump track and ride it really. And where Chandler, you have to be able to drop in and jump out. And so the barrier to entry is kind of high. But so in a big area, like you guys who live in big areas, you're probably lucky that there's a handful of different parks with different options for you. And so you can go to one that's more suited for your skill level. Whereas if they just built Chandler in Arkansas, in a small town in Arkansas, that's cool. But I don't know, you'd have to really, it would be hard to just show up to that park and ride it. Like I feel like most people don't just like, they're not born around Chandler and ride it all the time. They kind of get the basic fundamentals from a different park and then carry that over to Chandler.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And, you know, part of me feels like most successful riders, I feel like, had both. They had their like very, very basic local park, you know, that they learned a lot of stuff at, but then they were also either relatively close or had the opportunity to also ride like a very like higher level park.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny how you can kind of see like you can break up people's riding style from like where they're from, you know, like Larry and Chris Fox and all those like all these like San Diego and like Temecula dudes, they all grew up riding dirt jumps and bowl style parks that we have in California, and it shows in their riding style. Whereas like Logan Martin and Kyle Baldock, you ever notice like most of those Australia parks, all the wood ones and like the prefab ones, it's all like big quarter, box jump, big spine,
quarters,
smaller box jump. And like that totally reflects in their riding. It was lots of tech tricks on the deck and box jump tricks.
Like UK riders.
Like the old GC compound. It had so many different things. And UK is the same. They don't have outdoor concrete style parks. It rains too much.
Not really.
They've always had more indoor and like box jump style stuff. But I mean, Adrenaline Alley looks sick. I would love to go there.
Yeah.
That looks like one of the most fun damn places.
I didn't know. Somebody posted in the Discord a picture of it, and I'm like, "Where's that?" Because it was a different room. Like you see the main room, but there's like they have like five rooms, and it's like, whoa! I didn't even know that was in there. And that's the ideal park, you know, where you have the crazy, because you're talking about how riders, you can tell with their style, you know, kind of what they've ridden. And here we don't have any box jumps, so it's a lot like the really good guys in El Paso. They do crazy flyout stuff. Like Chris has, I think, done a 3 double whip flyout, but can't really ride a box jump because we don't have one. And so that riding is just so twisted. But you also, I feel like, progress to the level of park that you have access to. And so if you only have access to a terrible prefab park, you're going to have a hard time coming up to a skill level of somebody who had multiple parks with different levels of obstacles and different things like that. I think the people you're around is a factor, but the park and the riding, the things you have to ride is a really huge thing also.
Yeah, it almost shapes you, because if you're having fun, you're going to do and progress in a way that that park allows you to do.
Yeah.
You know, like where I grew up, we had a small park with some flyouts and stuff, and we had a couple dirt jumps. There was no street, unless you consider bunny hopping down a 3-stair and grinding one ledge. There pretty much was no street.
Yeah.
And so, if you grew up in a neighborhood or in a city that has tons of different ledges and rails and like street spots, you'd probably gravitate towards riding street because it's there.
Yeah.
I was interested in riding street, but once you start to get decently good at riding bikes and you've spent no time riding street, it's kind of like, well, I don't really want to like stop what I'm doing and go ride street.
I don't want to suck at something.
And then, I started riding mega ramp and box jump and big dirt jumps. That's what I got good at.
And that was fun for you, right?
Yeah, and that's what was fun for me. Yeah. And, I think that's like a lot of, like at Woodward, I feel like a lot of us have very different riding styles because we have a facility that can kind of support a lot of different riding styles, Like we've got all the street parks, we've got the dirt jumps, we've got the big park, but even like Woodward's hangar, you can ride that hangar many different ways. There's a lot of different lines, and because there's like banks mixed in with big spines and big box jump, it kind of gives you the freedom to like go the direction you want. But then I also think that can almost slow down your progression a little bit because you're not forced.
No, you get
like
stagnant.
Actually
you
learning.
Get like, I find myself doing that all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the lines I do. I show up to the park. If I sit at the exact same spot, my sessions really, there's different lines within that, but it's like if I go and I set my stuff on the opposite side of the park and that's where I'm chilling, the way I ride the park is way different. And the tricks you do, you get so used to it. You're like, this is comfortable, this is fun. And that's why I think it's really important for people to explore other parks. Like the way you would ride, say Chandler is way different than how you would ride your local. And so putting you out there into a different park kind of pushes you outside of your comfort zone, and you take what's comfortable and enjoyable to you, but you have to apply it to a new transition, a new park, like a new flow, everything. You have to change that up. Otherwise, you just stay there and you ride the same thing over and over, and it's hard to progress, not because of the obstacles, but more so just because you're so used to it. You're numb, I guess. I don't know how to put that, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so to build on that, like it's the adaptation, like when we go film bike school stuff and we ride, a different skate park, say we ride 3 different skate parks over a week. I've never really ridden these parks. I feel like sometimes I get better at riding, like say I rode 5 new spots in a week. I think I would progress more in those 5 days than sometimes I do in 3 months of riding the same skate park, because I do exactly what you just said. When I session, I might go 3 months where every session looks exactly the same. The warm-up is the same. The tricks that I do, the same, like down to the order that I do them. Yeah. The structure of the session, the lines. Like if you went to Woodward with me more than like 2 weeks in a row, you'd be able to predict what I was going to do next every time. And it's crazy because we honestly used to all be like that. Like I used to ride with Seb and Wes and Jake, and you'd see them come in, and Seb would ride, and he would do the same. He would drop in, he would go up, and he would do nose bonk truck up onto the spine, jump into the bowl, come around, come out, and then he would jump back from the spine down to the quarter, heading at the spocks. And I'm like, oh, flip whip. And then he would flip whip, then he would go around, hip coming into the spine box. I'd be like 7, and he would do a 7. And it was like we all build these routines, which
exactly.
If you're looking to just progress strictly tricks, that's what you have to do, because you got to get those tricks so easy.
For like contest riding.
So then I'd go ride the resi, and yeah. And I can go learn tricks on the resi, and I would just fire out tricks and new tricks. But I don't necessarily think learning a new trick actually makes you a better bike rider. It's doing tricks you already know how to do on features that you don't do them on. And when I ride Woodward and I get stagnant because I get a little bit afraid to like push it sometimes. And so sometimes I feel like to get like a re-energized is to go somewhere new, and then you're not doing your scary tricks, like new scary tricks. You're doing tricks you're already comfortable with, but you're now slightly adapting them to new features. And to me, that's like a less scary way of getting better than just doing things that are way outside your comfort zone.
What about when you go to a park and like you've got a lot of people there who are better than you and you don't know them? Does that impact how good a park is to you? You go and you just double flip.
No, I'm actually really self-conscious when it comes to riding. Even if they're not better than me, like, or even if I know I could stay on their level, you know, certain pros come to Woodward, and if I don't know them personally, I often just sit down, even though I'm very capable. I just when I want to learn things, I don't want eyes on me. I want to, and vlogging really helped me with that. It really helped me to like let people in on like the process of learning. And it showed me that like, you know, everyone needs to learn and things are going to happen. But like if I don't, and that's like like I said, it's like the Woodward routine. I'll do like my routine runs and tricks and stuff. But then like, I'm not really going to try to go like learn something new when everyone else is like throwing down all these bangers. And I've gotten better at it, but I get pretty self-conscious about it. But that's kind of why I like, and that's only a skate park setting because everyone's watching you. Trails, I feel like I don't get nervous like that, like dirt jumps, because you can just, like dirt jumps, it's like acceptable to just jump and do a no-hander and just flow. Whereas like the skate park, I feel like if you're just like riding around, I feel like people are looking at you, which is funny because I don't do that to anybody else. I would never want to feel like because I was doing big tricks that someone else didn't want to ride in front of me. Like that would be a terrible feeling. So I know no one's actually judging me, but I'm judging myself. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do, if it's at my own park, then I'm like, whatever. Like I just ride like I normally do because I'm constantly in the flow of things. But if I go to a new park, it's just so weird because you don't want to try new stuff. It's not because you want to like look better than you are, but failing is kind of embarrassing. And so if you're trying new tricks, it's like, I don't know, you feel embarrassed and whatever. You're like, like I'm better than this, but now they think I suck because I didn't land this trick that I'm trying for the first time ever. And it really changes the way that you ride that park. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like if I go to a new park and there's people watching, I think I'm a lot more subtle with how I ride it until I get it figured out a little bit better, and then I'll try stuff. But I'll definitely just take like just chill runs to feel the park out, and then think about the way that I ride, kind of scope them out, see how their riding is. And it's like you definitely overthink it way more than you should. But the people there, like Chandler, when it's empty, it's fun. You can try whatever. But when some of those locals are there, like this kid Nate, he boosts everything, and I just sit there and I'm like, whoa. And so after you see that, anything I do feels like not good enough, you know? And so it makes me just kind of want to sit out and, you know, let them do their thing. You know, you want to go high, I'll just chill. And that's a bad mindset, I think. And I think a lot of new people might get stuck into that. And, but it's important where you said, nobody's actually thinking that. Like we're thinking that in our heads, but nobody's actually thinking that as they're watching. So just do your thing.
No. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a terrible mindset, but no, I've definitely found myself like that. It's like, if I like the idea of being by myself and like say we're at Chandler jumping that new box jump, I like being able to do it my way, take my time, kind of just chill and not feel like rushed or like I'm being watched. And it's just so funny though, because like if I say I'm like doing threes over that box and I'm like riding and sessioning and somebody new is there, I'd just want to help them do it. Like, I just want to offer up advice and be like, how can I help this person, you know? And I think that's probably how most people would be. And like, it's like trails. It's like a lot of people are nervous to jump when there's other people riding the trails because they're like, oh, if I case, people are going to be mad. And obviously trails can be like that sometimes, but I'm more confident in my dirt jumping than anything else. So usually I can, like, you know, break myself out of that. And I also, with dirt jumps, I also know that, like, if I can make it through the dirt jumps, I can start doing spins and flips and stuff. And so I'm okay. But, and then, like I said, you ride enough contests and hit new jumps for the first time. But like a skate park, I don't know if I could do anything in a skate park until I start riding it. And I like the idea of being able to, like, slowly test out lines and stuff. Like, I don't like getting lost in front of somebody, like going and being like,
or in the way, man. If I get in the way of somebody, especially if it's not my park, I'm like, I'm the worst person ever. Like, everyone hates me, and game over, man. Game over. What about what's the worst park you've ever been to?
There's been a couple, but in my head right now, what comes to me is this freaking park in Virginia where Taylor's from. And it's like 20 minutes from her dad's house. And I show up and, okay, so it's on, like, what looks like an old parking lot or some kind of asphalt, you know? And so it's, like, super gritty, but they've got this, like, it's, like, made out of, like, prefab, you know? And there's a bank with, like, a couple ledges and a 3-stair, and then it goes flat, and then there's, like, this big quarter pipe thing. And I was like, oh, that could be kind of sick. I go into it, and the whole thing, like, rattles when you hit it. And when you go up, the quarter, it's like this big, like, what looks like a big extension almost. It's like wavy. Like, I don't know how to explain the transition. Yeah, except there is no transition. Like, I didn't know if it was a quarter or a bank, and because if you hit it in one spot, it's full on like a bank. If you hit another spot, it's like a quarter with then like a bank on the top, and then on the other side there's just one quarter. But like throughout the park, there's just like this random little things. Like there's like a parking block, you know, those little things that you push your car into.
Yeah.
Like there's a parking block just sitting there. And then there's like a hubba that's like facing the other direction, like 2 feet away from that. And I'm like, what are you? There's a parking block.
Somebody was playing.
What are you gonna do
on Google? Let's Google SketchUp, like just building random shit and dropping it in a skate park. I don't know. That's kind of what it seems like. They just like make hubba. Well, just wherever, you know, just popping stuff wherever. That's funny.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple where like there's transitions that are just absolutely unrideable. Like the quarters come into the ground like this.
Yeah.
And you full on would just hit it and be like that.
Right.
And like it's literally like not even rideable. And I can't remember where I've seen that, but like, yeah, I've definitely been to a few that are like, but that one, like there was like 20 people there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not a skate park.
See, but were any of them like extremely talented at riding it?
No, I was the only person there on a bike.
Okay.
Everyone else was on a skateboard. But like there was like a hubba that came out of like nowhere, and then like I'm trying to think. There's literally a park in my head right now, and I can't remember where it was, that literally had the most random features going into the most random things, and like there was nothing you could do. Like big old huge handrails. Where was that?
Man, that's how I felt.
It was wild.
At Woodward for instruction, there's different sections. Okay, and one of the sections that they had us go to was that section before the mini ramp, where it's like the quarters that go over the door, and then the back of the mini ramp has little quarters here, and then there's like a a Jersey barrier.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and like that's a spot, and it's like, all right, we're here. You know, we're here for 30 minutes. We're gonna sesh it, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, what are we doing here? We could ride up this and like go down, and it's just the goofiest thing, you know, because they're random obstacles, and you can ride them. And I think if you found these random obstacles spread around in a street spot, it's a whole different vibe. But when you show up to the skate park, you expect a little bit more preparation, a little bit more planning. Did you find it?
This guy's got the worst, best California skate park. Let's see. I don't remember where it was. The worst skate park ever. Dude, if you just type in bad skate parks on Google Images, you'll see some features like I'm talking about, where it's just like none of it makes any sense. There's a Boy Scout camp in West Virginia that's got like 4 huge skate parks. Those don't make a lot of sense either.
Do you see that? I looked up bad skate parks, and there's this funky spine. It's like a bank, and then at the end it's got spine, then a random rail.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I just saw that one.
A tree growing through this half pipe. Okay. I don't know. I pretty much find something fun to do it at whatever park I've been to, but there's definitely some that, like my home park, would definitely be categorized as a terrible park. You know, we had the people who built it build swimming pools, and so that's exactly how the transition is. Like, you have to hit everything at an angle, otherwise you're going to go over the bars into the quarter. It's so ridiculous, but riding there for so many years, I really enjoy it, and there's just different things you can do there. They built a newish one here, and it's got a random 2-foot quarter, a random rail, and like a double kicker jump, and that's pretty terrible. It's all surrounded by dirt. That's another thing, man, that drives me crazy. You can't. There's no room to ride out from the park if there's dirt or rocks or anything like that. And grass is nice, fence is nice, but yeah.
And actually, I think the local when I first moved to Lancaster, it's Jeremy Malot's old local as well, because we grew up, or we rode there together a lot. It's called Marie Kerr in Lancaster, and it is not
Marie
good.
Kerr. Did we go to it?
Yeah, like there's like a
no,
but there's like a pyramid in the middle, and it's like super steep transitions. And then there's like these weird little like hubba looking things on the corners. And there's little like mini, dude, I can't even explain it, but it's weird. It's so terrible, yet it's fun.
Yeah.
There's something about it that's how
makes it my
fun.
park.
It's
if you
weird.
spend enough time there, you figure out how to make it fun. But if you just show up to it, you'd hate.
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, like if I drove 3 hours to go ride this park and that's what I got, I'd be pretty mad. But if you live there, you ride it, you kind of get used to it. You're like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like the park that I grew up riding in Bishop. It's terrible, you know, super slippery, concrete, bad transitions. But if you know where the good transitions are, or like where to hit certain things, it becomes fun. And like there's like this volcano feature, and the top is all bumpy, you know, so you get bucked, but it almost becomes like I can like bump jump it right here. It's like it becomes like a new kind of fun, not like your traditional fun skate park, but like you have fun in the badness of it because you just ride it different. I don't know.
All right, guys. So let us know in the comments what's the worst park you've ever been to, and Nick's gonna tell you what RAD podcast stands for.
Ricky's on drugs.
Ricky's. Wait, no, that's Rod. Rod podcast.
Oh, I'm Rod Kimball. Did you reinforce the takeoff ramp? Nah, didn't have time.
That's a good movie.
Such a good hot rod.
Let us know what you think it means in the comments. We will see you guys next week.
Deuces.
Peace.